Live from Shea Stadium in New York, WWOR-TV presents New York Mets baseball as tonight, the Mets take on the Montreal EXPOS. Mets Baseball 87 is brought to you tonight by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Manufacturers Hanover, the financial source worldwide. By Nissan, who invites you to test drive a hot new Nissan car or truck and see why Nissan makes you feel like driving. By Diet Pepsi, the choice of a new generation. By the Pan Am Shuttle, with flights on the half hour to Boston and Washington. By your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Ford dealers. And by AT&T, the right choice. Pitching for the Montreal EXPOS tonight and making his 87 debut, right-hander Bryn Smith, who last year was 10-8 with an ERA of 3.94. And on the mound for the Mets, right-hander Ron Darling, 2-1 so far in 87 with an ERA of 6.28.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Ralph Kiner, along with Tim McCarver, Steve Zabriskie, and Rusty Staub, all set for the second game of this four-game series. The Mets winning the first game last night, 11-3, in their biggest output in runs scored so far this year. Rick Aguilera gave up 3 hits in the first inning and no more throughout the rest of the ball game. And hooray, hooray, the 1st of May, and the unside players can sign the day.
Oh, right. As a matter of fact, it used to be that announcers, all they had to worry about, ball players too, was the June 15th trading deadline. Now it seems like we've got so many dates to worry about, we're worrying about as many dates as Warren Beatty. Now this is what May 1st really means. Any player not signed by January 8th or who has not filed for arbitration can begin negotiating with his former team on May 1st. And last night, John McHale, the executive vice president of the Expos, and Bill Stoneman, who's responsible for contract negotiations, signed a very, very important member of the Montreal Expos.
And 2 other players did sign. Bob Boone signed with the California Angels. He had not signed, turned down a very lucrative contract. And there was one more that did not sign.
Rich Gedman signed with the Boston Red Sox, and New York Mets fans obviously familiar with Rich from the World Series last year.
And so far, no information on whether Guidry signed with the New York Yankees. Let's go down to Steve Zabriskie and hear what he has on this subject.
Thanks, Ralph, and hi, everybody. Well, May 1st will become known probably as Free Agent Day in Major League Baseball. And for the Montreal Expos, that means that today was the day that they could re-sign Tim Raines, and they have done so. They took a long time doing it, however, longer than you might expect, even though the team was in Florida and ready to sign him at the first possible moment. As General Manager Murray Cook explained, it was because they were operating under a whole new set of rules.
Right, oh, it certainly is. And with the rules the way they are, we weren't allowed to talk in any way, shape, or form, communicate even with Tim Raines or his agent about any kind of contract until May the 1st. And so at 12:01 last night, our negotiating team, Bill Stoneman and John McHale, met with Tim's agent. And it took about 3 hours, a little over 3 hours to work it out. And a lot of it's just legalese, obviously, but we didn't to depart dramatically from the offer we had made to Tim early on.
Tim Raines is expected to arrive from Florida here in New York sometime during tonight's game. He will hold a news conference and make an appearance immediately following the game here at Shea tonight. And even though details of his contract have not been released, it is known that the Expos' final offer back on January 8th of $4.8 million over 3 years never was taken off the table. And Tim Raines should be in the lineup for the first time tomorrow right here against the New York Mets. And we'll be back with the start of this one tonight between the Mets and the Expos after this for Budweiser.
The Mets have taken the field. It'll be Keith Hernandez at first base. At second base, Wally Backman. The shortstop, Howard Johnson. And at third base, Dave Magadan. Out of left field for the Mets, Kevin McReynolds. In center field, Len Dykstra. And the right fielder for the Mets will be Darryl Strawberry. The catcher, Barry Lyons. And on the mound, Ron Darling. Ron with a record of 2-1, an earned run average of 6.28. He's walked 11, struck out 21, given up 39 hits in 28 2/3 innings. Ron Darling, lifetime 4-4 against Montreal.
And the lineup for the Expos: A makeshift lineup with Mitch Webster out of there with the flu. Casey Candell, the left fielder, leading off, followed by Tom Foley, the shortstop. Andres Galarraga, the first baseman, hitting third. Tim Wallach at third base, batting fourth. The ex-Met Mike Fitzgerald, the catcher, batting fifth. Van Slaw at second base, hitting sixth. The newcomer Dave Engel, acquired from the Minnesota Twins, will play right and bat seventh. Herm Winningham, also an ex-Met, batting eighth and playing center, and the pitcher Bryn Smith batting ninth.
And the umpires for the game tonight, Lee Wire calling the balls and strikes. Ed Montague, the umpire at first base. Dave Pallone, the umpire at second base. And Dutch Rennert, the umpire at third. And the New York Mets, with a record of 11-9, one game back of the St. Louis Cardinals against the Montreal Expos. And the first pitch by Ron Darling, ball one. Casey Candell, the batter, hitting .317 for the year. He has no home runs, 2 runs batted in. And he looks again, and it's ball two. Candell with an on-base average of .423. And a strike call. So Darling picks up his first strike. Darling in 28 2/3 innings has walked 11 so far this year and struck out 21. And his fourth fastball grounded out to Hernandez. Darling takes the throw, and Candell is out. So the first out of the ball game as we get underway. Good evening tonight, the best the Mets have had since they've been home on this longest homestand of the year.
Shortstop, number 16.
And now for Montreal, it'll be Tom Foley coming up. Foley hitting .162, no home runs, 4 runs batted in. And the first pitch grounded off to the left side, foul. Foley last year hit .266. As you look at the happy face of Dwight Gooden, he says that's where he wants to be, right there in baseball. His favorite place. Not too bad a selection, I'd say, Tim.
Tires, too.
Mine, too, is right. Yours? Foul ball off to the left side, strike two.
Gooden threw from the pitcher's mound today. As a matter of fact, he threw for about 8 minutes to Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach for the Mets.
He has to start from square one to get back in shape. Spring training all over again.
There's Doc earlier today throwing in the bullpen. He did take spring training, of course, but that was erased when he was in the Smithers Drug Rehabilitation Center for 27 days.
And a pop-up on the left field side, a long run for McReynolds. He can't get to it. And Foley bloops one in for a base hit. First base runner comes with 1 out here in the first inning. And it brings up Andres Galarraga. Galarraga batting .319 with 1 home run, 15 runs batted in. Galarraga 0 for 4 in last night's ball game, had his 7-game hitting streak stopped. Galarraga hit .271 last year with 10 home runs, 42 runs batted in. And the breaking ball in the dirt, good stop by Barry Lyons. Darling has thrown 3 wild pitches so far this year, and he has committed 2 balks.
Gary Carter has caught Ronnie in all his other starts, and Carter doing a fine job with the ball in the dirt. And Barry Lyons just getting the web of the glove on the ball. That prevents another wild pitch from Ron Darling.
And it's grounded foul, 1-1. On deck batter, Tim Wallach.
Galarraga signed with the Expos on the recommendation of Philippe Alou, the fine ex-Major League outfielder.
One of 3 brothers that played in the Major Leagues. They all played in 1 game against the New York Mets. First time that ever happened. 3 brothers playing in 1 game against the opposition. That took place in the Polo Grounds a year or 2 ago, Tim. Philippe was really some hitter. Oh, Matty was a good hitter, too. He led the league in hitting. There's a runner going on the pitch, and it'll be a stolen base as Foley goes in. That's his second stolen base. Ball unable to be picked up by Barry Lyons.
Split finger fastball and the ball in the dirt, and Lyons couldn't come up with it. Foley had a tremendous jump from first base.
14 stolen base for Montreal in 17 attempts. As you look at Buck Rogers, the man who calls the plays for the Montreal Expos. Another one out of the strike zone, 3-1. At second base with one man out. 3-1 count on Andres Galarraga, the Gran Cato, as he is known in Venezuela. The Big Cat. Goes after a bad pitch on the 3-1. Boy, I don't understand that. When you're hitting 3 balls in 1 strike, you got to get a good pitch to hit. He chases a curveball that's out of the strike zone.
This ball was almost under the plate, and Galarraga going for it, but
if he hits it, it's going nowhere. 3-2 the count. Pitch that's borderline, this time a fastball, and the foul ball keeps the count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Darling with a lifetime record of 46 and 25. On deck batter, Tim Wallach. Again the 3-2 pitch, and again Galarraga goes after a borderline pitch and fouls it off.
It's a lot different, though, with 2 strikes on a hitter than it is with the count 3-1. You couple that with the fact that there is a runner in scoring position, and a hitter like Galarraga, who makes his living primarily with the RBI, is more inclined to go after a bad ball. But I ain't quibble with that 3-1 pitch. That was a bad ball.
And another one that's out of the strike zone, hit down the right field corner. Strawberry over to make the play, tagged up at second is Foley. And he goes over to third. Good play by Strawberry against the right-hand batter.
Galarraga hit ball 9, I think.
I would say none of those last 5 pitches were in the strike zone.
Some guys, you really tuck that away and find out that you can't pitch around some hitters. Last year, Galarraga walked 30 times in 321 at-bats. But that was not a good at-bat by Andres Galarraga.
Now the batter will be Tim Wallach. Wallach hitting .271 with 1 home run, 10 runs batted in. Just underway. Runner at third, 2 men out, and a strike call by Lee Wire. Wallach last year hit only .233, but he did have 18 home runs and 71 RBIs. Fastball is fouled back into the stands. So Darling with a 2-strike count.
Here's Gary Carter helping out our low first cameraman there. Gary, when he's not playing, he's always helping somebody out. There's one guy who he doesn't know how to take a day off, right? He's up there.
That's true. Got to be doing something. Good pitch by Darling as he tries to get Wallach to go after a high fastball on the 2-strike pitch. He's going to stick that up there some way. Another one bounced in the dirt. Another good play by the catcher, Barry Lyons, holding the runner at third. Darling with an inordinate amount of pitches in the dirt this year. Somebody told him to pitch low, and he's doing it.
Well, this is the wrong guy to try to get out downstairs.
Yeah,
Tim Wallach is a good low ball hitter. He has that loop in his swing. much like a left-handed hitter.
And he goes after a bad pitch, and Darling gets out of the inning. 1 hit, a stolen base, a man left at third, and the score after 1/2 inning, the Expos nothing, the Mets coming up. Bryn Smith on the mound for Montreal. He has a record of no wins, no losses. This is his first game start of the year. Last year he was 10-8 with a 3.94 ERA. Walked 63, struck out 105, gave up 182 hits and 187 in the third innings. Bryn Smith. And Len Dykstra gets a curveball in his first pitch, a called strike. Dykstra hitting .250 for the year with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. Smith back with a fastball, 1-1. But you'd have to expect, Tim, that Bryn Smith will not pitch too long in this ball game, this being his first start. Goes to the curveball again. 2-1.
Buck Rogers told me before the game that he will not be allowed to throw over 75 pitches, and under no circumstances will he be allowed to go past the 6 innings tonight.
And the fastball for ball 3, 3-1. Had an elbow operation this winter. Removed some chips from his right elbow. Dr. Job of baseball, football, and what have you fame doing the operation. And the 3-1 fastball fouled off, 3-2.
So I guess you could say that Bryn Smith became another one of the patients of Job.
Not another one of those. He has the patience of Job. Smith, an outstanding pitcher after many, many years in the minor leagues. And this ball fouled away, so the count will stay. Back in 1985, Bryn Smith was 18-5 for Montreal. Last year, 10-8. And this ball popped up and playable. The shortstop, Tom Foley. And he puts it away. So Dykstra becomes the first out.
And here's the rest of the lineup. Wally Backman following Dykstra. Hernandez hitting in the third slot. Darryl Strawberry in right field batting fourth. Kevin McReynolds, the left fielder, hitting fifth. Howard Johnson once again at shortstop this evening, batting sixth. Dave Magadan with his second home run in last night's game, batting seventh. Barry Lyons, his second start of the year, hitting eighth. And Ron Darling on the mound.
And Wally Backman, the batter, and he hits a line drive to center field for the first hit for the New York Mets. Backman hitting .224 before the base hit with no home runs, 5 RBIs. Montreal with the defense of Galarraga at first, Law at second, Foley at short, Wallach at third. Candell in left field, Winningham in center, and Engel in right. Mike Fitzgerald the catcher. And for the Mets, it'll be Keith Hernandez. Keith hitting .297 now with 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. He has a 13-game hitting streak, his longest as a Met. He's had 18 hits in the 13 games. Batting .391. And he has scored 12 runs, driven in 12, hit 4 home runs in the hitting streak, and also has had 9 walks. So in the 13-game hitting streak, he has been on base 27 times. And the fastball for ball 1. Keith, in last night's ball game, a big 3-run home run that tied the game in the first, and also had a double, was 2 for 4. Backman at first base. Wally has yet to have a stolen base. And the fastball for ball 2.
Don't be surprised to see the Mets running and running often against Mike Fitzgerald. Last year, August 2nd, Floyd Yeoman's the pitcher, and Mike broke the right forefinger on his right hand, and you can see the difference in that hand, that lump around the first knuckle. And I was talking to Mike before yesterday's game. He really almost has to fit the ball into his hand.
There goes Backman, and the throw is a good throw, but not in time.
Little hesitation, and he had to fit the ball into his hand. I guarantee you, when your right hand is hurting, your throwing's going to be hurting. See there, just that little hesitation of trying to fit the ball into the right hand allowed Backman to steal second base. Just safe at second.
So the Mets with a runner in scoring position with one man out. A 3-0 count on Hernandez, and he takes the fastball for strike 1.
Interesting, it does not bother the hitting of Mike Fitzgerald, but it does the throwing.
Looks like an old-time catcher.
Yeah, it's a nasty injury. It was really beat up. Compound fracture, broken in 3 different places, stitched up on both sides of the finger, and almost a career-ending injury to Mike Fitzgerald.
That was the Mets' 12th stolen base in 17 attempts. And the fastball fouled away.
Interesting, Ralph, that in football you could have a hand injury to almost anybody. You see defensive backs with broken hands and still playing the game. But you injure a hand in baseball, and you can forget it. The hand's the most important parts of the bodies to play baseball.
3-2. And a line drive, great play by Foley as he takes a hit away from Keith Hernandez.
It was a good play. Wally Backman inadvertently blocked Tom Foley. He was right in line. There he is right there. And because of that, Foley jumped too quickly and actually caught the ball coming down. But a good play by Tom Foley.
So 2 men away. Backman still at second base. And Darryl Strawberry the batter. And the fastball high. Strawberry hitting .307 for the year. 5 home runs, 17 RBIs. Darryl with 2 hits in last night's ball game, 2 for 4. Fastball, a strike call, 1-1. Well, there's a big differential in home runs between Montreal and the Mets. 28-10, the Mets in front of that. So a big difference. And Darryl behind the fastball fouls it to the left side, 1-2. Darryl hit .259 last season with 27 home runs, 93 RBIs. And batting with Backman on at second base. No score in the game. 2 men out, bottom half of the first.
See if they work Strawberry inside. Darryl, a devastating 2-strike hitter on an off-speed pitch in the strike zone. You can make him chase a ball out of the strike zone. I think they'll try to come in on Strawberry now. Nope, away.
This ball hit out to deep right center field. Way out there. It is gone. Goodbye. Darryl Strawberry hitting a change of pace over the .396 mark.
Well, I tell you, there as a catcher, there are just some pitches that have danger written all over them, and that's one of them right there. A straight change to Strawberry in the strike zone. And he hammered it over the center field fence. There's that one-handed swing that Charlie Lau used to teach, Walt Briniak. Darryl does it, hits it 420 feet, huh?
Now it's Kevin McReynolds at the plate, and he rips it to left field for a base hit. So McReynolds hitting .311 as he came to the plate with 5 home runs and 10 runs batted in. Follows the home run by Strawberry.
Yeah, actually, Strawberry fooled on this pitch, but there's a big difference in fooling a little guy and a big guy. You see, he's out in front. One-handed the ball, 420 feet. Tremendous strength in that young man right there.
Bryn Smith throws a palm ball for a change of pace, and it really is the pitch that made him, and I believe that's the first one he's thrown tonight. That brings up Howard Johnson hitting .238. Johnson with 3 home runs, 12 runs batted in, and the first pitch, ball 1. Mets with 4 home runs in last night's ball game now have 1 home run in this one. The home run leader in the National League is Dave Parker with 8. Daniels of Cincinnati has 7. Davis of Cincinnati has 7. Parker, of course, also from Cincinnati. And Stubbs of the Dodgers has 7. And now Strawberry with 6. You're watching Mets Baseball 87 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. And this pitch foul back out of play.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. We get to change your call letters tonight, right?
WW.
Yeah. WW.
I guess they named that station those call letters after Bill Webb, huh? William Webb?
Nice going.
There goes a runner, a big jump, but it's in there for strike 3. So McReynolds having second base stolen, but it doesn't come off as the strikeout ends the inning. Mets get 2 runs on 3 hits. The big hit, the 2-run home run by Darryl Strawberry. 1 left, and the score at the end of 1. The Mets 2, the Expos nothing. Now here's a word from the good old guys.
How Fortune in tow brings a bundle of trouble to Magnum Monday at 6.
Mets leading by a score of 2-0 as a result of Strawberry's 2-run home run in the first. And in the top of the second inning, it'll be Mike Fitzgerald to lead it off for Montreal. Fitzgerald playing his first game against the Mets this year. Last year against the Mets, he hit .524 with 11 hits and 21 at-bats. This year, he's hitting .267. He has no home runs and 1 run batted in. Ron Darling working for the Mets. Last year he won 15 and lost 6 and was 1-1 against Montreal in spite of an earned run average of 1.59 against the Expos. And the fastball is hit high in the air into the stands foul. Mike Fitzgerald is hitting .309 against his former team. 1 home run, 9 runs batted in. And the splitter is taken low, the count 1-1. Splitter, and this time Fitzgerald way out in front of it, 1-2.
Good pitch by Darling. The one thing that's gotten Ronnie into problems and trouble earlier in the season is throwing that split finger to get behind and then having to come in with the fastball.
And the fastball, ball 2, 2-2.
Catchers have game plans with pitchers like football coaches have with teams. And one game plan that I think Gary Carter has been talking about with Darling is to try to get ahead a little bit more. And you're not going to get ahead with the pitch that darts out of the strike zone, which is the split finger fastball. Of course, it depends on the lineup you're facing, too.
And this ball hit out to left field, deep left field. Back goes McReynolds, and he can't get to it. It is gone. Goodbye. Mike Fitzgerald continues to hit the Mets well, his second home run. That is the fourth home run given up by Darling. And the score, the Mets 2 and the Montreal Expos 1.
Well, this is just good hitting right here. Mike Fitzgerald just dug that ball from below the knees like he hit it with a shovel instead of a bat. See, this is a good pitch right here. A little bit too much of the fat part of the plate, but it was down very good. A good motion. It was going down. Sometimes you got to tip your hat to the hitter. Good hitting by Fitzgerald.
Hitters don't only hit mistakes, they hit good pitches too. You always read about or hear about the fact that the guy hit a mistake, but that was a good pitch. And good hitters can hit good pitches. Now the batter is Vance Law, and Law takes the first pitch. Darling back again and missing. Law hitting .274, 4 home runs, 9 runs batted in. And the fastball fouled away. Law was 0 for 2 last night, which stopped his 4-game hitting streak. Last year he had only 5 home runs all year. This year he has 4 already. And the fastball fouled away again, 2-2. Expos 10th in the National League in team batting at .236. 11th in runs scored at 72. That includes a home run tonight. And a fly ball to right. Strawberry right there. So 1 away as Law is out. And it brings up Dave Engel.
Now the right fielder.
Engel 0 for 3 last night. Was not in the regular lineup. Is hitting .276 with 1 home run, 2 runs batted in. He was put into the starting lineup when Mitch Webster was scratched because of the flu. And it's strike 1.
Dave has the distinction of hitting the first home run ever in the Metrodome up in Minneapolis. Of course, a member of the Minnesota Twins for 6 years.
And his dad has the distinction of playing in the Rose Bowl 2 times.
His dad, a good friend of Ted Williams, too. As a matter of fact, Dave from San Diego.
And the splitter missed.
As a matter of fact, Dave's father, Roy, ran Ted Williams' baseball camp up in right around Boston, Mass.
But after a bad pitch, tops it out to the first base side, and Keith Hernandez makes the play. So 2 men away, Mets leading 2-1.
Hernandez getting this ball in a hurry before it rolls foul, and he makes the tag on Dave Engel.
Keith making sure that he gives with the tag so the ball can't be knocked out of his glove. So now, Herm Winningham, the batter. Herm, a former Met, hitting .120 so far this year, 3 hits. And the curveball hit out over the mound, cut off by Johnson. He'll have to hurry, and they just got him. So the home run by Mike Fitzgerald, the only hit in the inning. No one left on base, and the score at the end of 1.5 innings. The Mets 2 and the Expos 1. Now here's a word from Budweiser.
A big announcement from Billy Joel after the game on News 9 Primetime.
Thank you very much.
Bottom half of the second inning. Mets leading by a score of 2-1, and coming in for the play-by-play, Tim McCarver, who played for the Montreal Expos at one point in his career.
Short time back in 1972, played under Gene Mock for 3.5 months. A trade that shook the baseball world. Ralph, John Bateman for me. You remember that well.
One catcher for another catcher.
Dave Magadan leads it off. Dave with his second home run of the year last night, and that's quite unusual because he has only 4 lifetime home runs in 4 years in the minor leagues. And the fastball for a strike. 2-1 Mets on top, bottom of the second inning.
Both of his home runs have come off left-hand pitching.
Dave fouls this one off, so it's 0-2.
Just looking, Tim, at the way Bryn Smith is throwing the ball, that arm operation has to be a successful one. He's throwing very loosely, not pushing the ball at all.
Fastball is tight, 1-2.
Smith has a rather unusual record. He spent part of 8 years in the minor leagues and had a record of 96-64. That's a very good record, and still didn't really get into the majors.
Curveball is just a little low, 2-2. Signed with the Baltimore Orioles back in 1974 and came to the Expos in 77, along with pitchers Rudy May and Randy Miller for Gary Rinicky. Fastball is inside, 3-2, and the one thing Magadan will make a pitcher do is work. Every year in the minor leagues, his walks exceeded his strikeouts. Changeup got him. Boy, good pitch by Bryn Smith. Second strikeout for Bryn. And the batter will be Barry Lyons.
Oh, here's that palm ball we're talking about, and the bottom drops out of it. Reacting a lot like the splitter.
Second start for Barry Lyons. He had his first major league home run against the Cardinals Sunday afternoon. Hit it to right field. And he hits this one to right field. A time, way back. Out of here. Almost in the exact same spot he hit his first homer. 3-1 New York. Wow.
On the replay, a fastball out over the plate. Back on April 26th against Pat Perry of the Cardinals. He hit his first major league home run, and they were identical.
Ron Darling flies to right, 2 outs.
A blueprint of the first home run he hit off Perry.
Really was. Right center field.
Now batting.
Right to the left of the 371 sign. That is something. Len Dykstra, the batter. Lenny popped to short his first time up. Line to left center. Winningham gets to it quickly, but Dykstra's on there. Base hit number 5 for New York. We'll see if Dykstra takes off on Mike Fitzgerald with that bad throwing finger. And Buck Rogers, remember, he will pitch out a lot. He calls a lot of pitch outs from the bench. He went to his left ear. We'll see if he pitches out.
He gave a sign there. See whether or not it was a pitch out sign. Rogers, a former catcher.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I was going to say something nice about him. He holds the record for catching the most games in the American League.
As a rookie back in 1961 for the California Angels, caught 155 games that year. Wow.
Tied by Jim Sandberg later on. The Major League record's 160, and that was the pitch outside. So now we know the pitch outside. Reaching up the right ear. Left ear, right ear.
Left ear with the right hand.
Okay, make sure of that.
Larry Bernarth, the St. John's University pitcher, formerly with the Mets, is the pitching coach of the Expos, standing to the left of Buck. 1-0 to Backman. Grounded. In the hole, base hit to right field. Dykstra's going to go to third. The throw by Engel is cut off by Tom Foley, the shortstop, and the Mets have runners at the corners and 2 outs.
Backman pulling the inside fastball through the hole. The advantage of being a left-hand batter, the first baseman holding the runner on. And he picks up the base hit and moves Dykstra over to third base. Wally having a little trouble early in the year, but coming through with this base hit just beyond Vance Law.
Here's Keith Hernandez. Still no activity for the Expos. Bryn Smith has been hit very hard by New York.
Mets had 13 hits in last night's ball game.
And all but one run in that 10-3 win came by virtue of the home run. All 3 runs tonight. The 2-run homer by Strawberry, the solo shot by Barry Lyons. 1-0 to Hernandez. Dykstra at third, Backman at first. Ball 2-0. Not as much of a running situation here, Ralph, because if you get thrown out at second, ruin an opportunity for Hernandez to possibly drive in a run.
Well, you got your hottest batter up. Don't want to take the bat away from him with a runner at third.
Ball 3, Strawberry on deck, so choose your poison. 3-0 to Hernandez.
Got to be hitting here. Darryl with a home run his first time up.
Ball 4. Calling to the bullpen, but with one swing of the bat, Darryl Strawberry could put things out of reach. A 2-run homer his first at bat on a 1-2 changeup, and here comes Bernard.
Well, this is Bryn Smith's first outing this year. He did not choose to sign with Montreal. And then after shopping around trying to pick up a job, could not get one, he did eventually sign. He was not on their 40-man roster.
Signed as a free agent back on February 27th of this year. And the big difference between Bryn Smith and Tim Raines is that Bryn Smith was not tendered a contract. Tim Raines, however, was, and that's why after the January 8th deadline, he couldn't sign until May 1st. We took a look at Larry Sorensen warming up. Curveball is high, 1-0. Strawberry appears to be beaming with confidence. Curveball is low, 2-0. 6 straight balls thrown by Bryn Smith, and no place to put Strawberry. Fastball is high, 3-0 to Darryl Strawberry. He is not one who is prone to swinging at 3-0 pitches. He doesn't like to.
Doesn't seem to like to.
Takes a fastball. It's 3-1.
A lot of hitters feel that they go after a 3-0 pitch, they'll chase bad pitches. It's really a matter of discipline. You have to look for it in one spot. If it's not there, you take it.
And that was a hittable fastball there, and Strawberry took it on the inside corner.
Darryl has a tendency to take inside fastballs. He thought that might be off the plate. It tails back on the corner.
3-2 pitch, winding up, the runners are running, and it's grounded to second. And Vance Law makes the play. So the Mets with a chance to add on to their lead, but Strawberry grounds to second. They do, however, pick up 1 run on 3 base hits, and they strand the bases loaded. After 2, it's 3-1 New York, and we'll be back after this word from the American Express card. Bryn Smith, the batter. Bryn's first at bat, of course. And he loops one to right. It might fall, and it does. So Bryn Smith, in his first swing of 1987, plunks one in there.
He's a good hitter. Had 3 for 3 in one game last year, and he had a 4-game hitting streak. Got a base hit in 4 straight games as a pitcher.
Left fielder.
Does a good job of that bat.
All good golfers are good hitters, right?
That's exactly right. But not all good hitters are good golfers.
That is also exactly right. Right on both counts. Here's Casey Candell, who's 0 for 1. He grounded to Hernandez with Darling covering his first time up. Line to right center. So Candell has himself a base hit. The Expos with runners at first and second and nobody out.
There's a lot of Ed Stanky and Casey Candell. All he can do is beat you. They say he can't run, he can't throw, he can't field, and he can't hit. But every time you look up, he's doing something to help the ball club.
Candell with a fine year last year in Indianapolis, the AAA affiliate of the Expos, hometown of David Letterman. Totally unrelated events, however.
He did have a hometown, huh?
Oh, yeah. Here's Tom Foley. Tom singled and stole second his first time up. 2 on, no outs. 3-1 ball game. The Mets on top, and the curveball is low to Tom Foley. Right field, way back. This ball is out of here. A home run by Tom Foley, and the Expos have the lead 4-3. Boy, he hit that one a ton.
Foley had only 1 home run all year long last year. He was set back when he had his right wrist broken by McDowell in spring training, but right here he just drops the bat on that low inside fastball. That is the pitch that left-hand batters really eat up.
Bon appetit, Tom Foley. Andres Galarraga fouls one off. He flied to right his first time up. 0-1 to Galarraga, and all of a sudden it's 4-3 Montreal. This one well hit. Deep left center, Dykstra over, however, and he makes the catch. So the balls are jumping here at Shea. This joint is jumping.
It's about time we
Montreal.
dig out that old story about the live ball. Nolan Ryan has hit a home run, second of his major league career. His first was off Don Sutton in his first game when he came back into the National League.
Back in 1980 in a bunting situation. That was a nationally televised game. And it's 0-1 to Tim Wallach. So the Astros on top of the Braves, 10-0 in the 7th inning. Fastball outside to Wallach. He struck out his first time up. Split finger is low, 2-1. The Mets really trying to catch the Expos in really bad shape. Tim Raines was signed, but he may play tomorrow. This one lined down the left field line, base hit. McReynolds hurries over, and Wallach has a single. But the Expos not a good ball club right now. They've got a bunch of injuries. Tim Raines hasn't signed, and yet the Mets trail by a run. Buck Rogers had the Expos in second place until August 19th of last year. really has done a fine job with this ball club.
Managed their minor league ball club at Indianapolis and was manager of the year there, and then was promoted to become the manager of the major league club.
In his third season as the manager of the Expos. Here's Mike Fitzgerald. He homered his first time up. All the runs in this ball game have scored as the result of the home run ball. 2 by the Mets, 2 by the Expos. And activity in the Mets bullpen. Ron Darling has now given up 5 home runs this year and is really struggling. A very deceptive 2-1 record coming in. Tight fastball, 2-0.
His earned run average coming into this ball game, 6.28. You see Terry Leach throwing in the bullpen.
Grounded sharply towards short. Nice play. Johnson to Backman, double play. A 6-4-3 double play gets Darling out of further trouble. But the Expos take the lead 3 runs on 4 hits and no one left. After 2.5, 4-3, the guys from the North Country on top of the Mets will be back after this word from BMW.
Well, tomorrow the Mets take on the Montreal Expos. It'll be David Cohn on the mound with Neil Heaton making his first appearance against the Mets. And it's Top Job Batting Helmet Day, as all fans 14 and under will receive a specially designed Mets batting helmet featuring the Mets World Championship logo, courtesy of Top Job Liquid Cleaner. Tickets are available for this game at all Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or call 718-507-TIXX for all ticket information. Tomorrow, the Montreal Expos and Batting Helmet Day.
And also Spring Fevers at Shea Stadium, and you can be a part of it by attending Mets home games. In April and May, you can earn a 1986 Rawlings Official World Series baseball. All you have to do is purchase $150 worth of tickets to games in May for the remainder of May and save the rain check ticket stubs from these games. For details on how you can redeem your ticket stubs, pick up the special Rawlings offer, which is available at Shea's advanced ticket window, or you can call the Mets at 718-507-TIXX, of course, during regular business hours. And what can you get for that $150? Well, you can see the Cincinnati Reds next Tuesday and Wednesday. You can see the West Coast teams as San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego come to town.
For the Mets, number 22.
And on cue, speaking of San Diego, here's Kevin McReynolds. The Mets trail 4-3.
Well, Ron Darling unhappy with what has taken place here. The Mets trailing by 1. 2 home runs thrown up by Darling.
McReynolds singled his first at bat, and he wanted to bunt. He takes the curveball for a strike. 0-1 to Kevin McReynolds. Bottom of the third, 4-3 Montreal. A looper into right center. A good piece of hitting by McReynolds. He's going to try for 2. Safe at second as the ball was dropped by Foley. Good base running by McReynolds.
Well, this is a tough curveball to hit. The only way you can hit it is the way he did, out toward right center field. The center fielder, Winningham, moving on the play. His throw was pretty good into the shortstop, but it's short hop, not an easy one to handle for Foley. And he can't put the grab on it. So McReynolds leads off with a double.
And here's Howard Johnson. Howard struck out his first time up. Terry Leach continues to throw for the Mets. Very interesting predicament here. For if Darling should hit in this inning, Davy Johnson may elect to pinch hit for him. 1-0 to Johnson.
We're in the bottom half of the third. There's been 13 hits.
7 for the Mets, 6 for the Expos. 1-0 to Johnson. Curveball gets by Fitzgerald. It's going to go as a wild pitch, but that ball should have been handled.
Well, Mike doesn't shift out in front of the ball. He sort of leans out to get it, and he's unable to control it. Curveball thrown by Bryn Smith. Ball breaking to the far side, and it'll go as a wild pitch.
Wallach and Galarraga both in at third and first. Short and second back, and this one grounded to first, and Johnson fails to get the runner in. So Bryn Smith, 1/3 of the way out of it. However, Dave Magadan, the batter now.
Right here, Howard Johnson tops it right out to the first baseman, Galarraga. Fine fielding first baseman, and there's no chance at all for McReynolds at third to attempt to score.
I'll tell you, I might play the left side of the infield up here with your 7 and 8 batters up. And Montreal has an interesting situation that they do in situations like this. Magadan fouls it back. In last night's ball game, a situation where you would normally play your infield in, they had Foley at short and Law at second, played back, and then as the pitch was made, they both came forward. Andy McGaffigan warming up.
Sort of like the Dallas Cowboys with their extra shift.
And that's what they're doing now. Here comes Foley, and this one grounded towards second. Law, safe at home is McReynolds. And had the infield been in, sometimes you trick yourself, Ralph. Had the infield been in, McReynolds would have been out.
McReynolds doing a good job of base running. This ball hit at Vance Law, the second baseman. He charges it, makes a good throw, but McReynolds with fine running beats the tag at home plate. McReynolds a very deceiving runner. He runs very easily and covers a lot of ground, and you saw that Vance Law was back. He was sort of moving up, but not in far enough for a chance to make the play at home.
Here's Barry Lyons, and he went too far. He homered in his first at bat. I think the Expos just outsmarted themselves then. They had that play we were talking about. Foley and Law were both back. Foley came running forward with the pitch, and Law did too, but he was a little bit late. And when he fielded the ball, he was going forward toward home plate, but his throw was not in time. McReynolds scores.
I don't see any advantage to that play at all. You're not really fooling anybody, and you're going to get caught back like they did there.
Check swing, fouled off, 1-2.
Yankees have announced free agent pitcher Ron Guidry has been signed to a 2-year contract, so the Gator is back.
And the prospects of a Dwight Gooden-Ron Guidry matchup in Columbus or Tidewater. They have national exposure for that one.
He'll have to build a bigger park down there in the minor leagues, although they have a big park in Columbus.
It's 1-2 to Barry Lyons, 1 out. Game knotted now at 4-4. Swing and a miss on the curveball. A good one there. Third strikeout for Smith. And now there are 2 down.
Smith has a lot of movement on this curveball, and it's in a good spot. Picks up the strikeout. That's his second, and is making his third in this game.
So Darling will hit for himself. Getting back to that play, I guess the deception there, or the deception intended, is for the third base coach to say, infield back, you're going in on a ground ball. The guy on third thinking that. This one ripped down the left field line. And it's fair. Magadan will try to score. Good play by Foley. The throw safe at home. 5-4 New York, and I don't believe it. Talk about an animated ball game. Wow.
Well, Darling gets his second hit of the year, his second 2-base hit of the year. Ball bouncing against the corner there. The relay is a good relay. Hits a cutoff man, the shortstop. The throw home, though, is not a good throw, and Magadan scores all the way from first. Magadan making the straight-in slide to get in there with no tag.
So Dave Magadan scoring the go-ahead run. It's now 5-4 New York, and with the pitching change, we'll be back right after this.
Chevy Chase is Goldie Hawn's ex-husband. Now he's a bank robber.
Pick up, put all your money in the bag, one more sound and you're dead. God bless you.
Which makes Goldie's new husband, Charles Grodin, very unhappy. Now Chevy's on the lam.
If you're innocent, they'll never send you to jail.
Is that how it works, Chester?
Not in my neighborhood. Seems like old times.
Monday at 9 on Channel 9.
Can we do that again? Chester!
Nobody tells us like the daily news. It's this world champ's favorite sports section. Nobody knows it like the daily news. Nobody knows it. Nobody shows it. Nobody tells it like the daily news. Nobody shows it like the daily news. Nobody knows it. Nobody shows it. Nobody tells it like the daily news. Yes, New York's hometown favorite.
Andy McGaffigan, the new pitcher for Montreal. No wins, no losses. But he has done well in the save department. 3 saves, a fine earned run average of 0.64. And Andy has walked 4, struck out 13, given up 9 hits and 14 innings of work. So McGaffigan relieving Bryn Smith. Bryn leaving the ball game on the losing side as the Mets have come back to score 2 here in the bottom half of the third to regain the lead. Mets leading by a score of 5-4. Smith working a total of 2 2/3 innings, charged with 5 runs, gave up 8 hits, struck out 3 and walked 1.
We're only in the third inning. There have been 8 hits for the Mets, 6 for the Expos. Mets scoring 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the third. The Expos with 1 in the second, 3 in the third. It's 5-4 New York. And the plucky center fielder of the Mets, Len Dykstra, is the batter.
Now batting for the Mets, center fielder, Lenny Dykstra.
Darling at second, 2 outs. Andy McGaffigan in relief of Bryn Smith. Fastball is low, 1-0 to Len Dykstra. Big gap in right center field. Engel playing Dykstra to pull, Winningham shading to left center, and a nice play by Mike Fitzgerald, 2-0.
That's one of the tough ones to handle there, that ball bouncing that far in front of the catcher. Good job by Fitzgerald.
Fielded that ball like Kelly Rudy. Finals of the Islanders Flyers playoff hockey game tomorrow night. That series knotted at 3-3. 3-0 to Len Dykstra. And a fastball for a strike. 3-1 to Dykstra. McGaffigan has done a fine job for the Expos. He has thrown 13 consecutive scoreless innings. The only earned run against Andy this year came on a wild pitch. Grounded sharply, right field, base hit. Here comes Darling. The throw by Engel is not in time. Dykstra to second, 6-4 New York.
Well, Dykstra gets this fastball and pulls it out into right field. It appeared that Dave Engel had a good shot at Darling. Throw right on into home plate, a good throw, but Darling beats it. And Dykstra trying to draw a cutoff from the first baseman. Ends up at second as the ball was not cut off.
Good base running by Len Dykstra. Lenny actually tripped on his way from first to second. And here's Wally Backman. That's hit number 9 for New York, and they got their hitting spats on tonight, folks. Backman 2 for 2 with a stolen base. Slider, good play. Fitzgerald, 1-0 to Backman.
15 hits, and we're in the 3rd inning. Weather warmed up, and so did the bats.
Mets won 10-3 last night. They lead 6-4 this evening. Strike one. Again in right field.
He's deep, isn't he?
Yeah, he's too deep, and plus he's playing him to pull. Usually when your center fielder moves over toward left center, as Winningham is right now, he tries to bring the right fielder with him. But not so with Engel. This one grounded up the middle. Foley, nice play. Good play by Tom Foley. Had they not completed that play, Dykstra would have scored. He had a good jump around third, but a nice play by Tom Foley. The Mets score 3 times on 3 base hits. They strand a runner and lead 6-4 after 3. We'll be back after this word from Manufacturers Hanover.
Burt Reynolds turns up the heat on Entertainment Tonight, Monday at 7:30.
Top half of the 4th inning, the Mets leading 6-4, and in here with me right now, Rusty Staub.
All right, Ralph, good to be here. A lot of action.
To say the least. 15 base hits, 10 runs scored, top of the 4th inning. And Vance Law, the batter, first pitch by Ron Darling, the curveball for ball 1. Law flying out to right field his first time up. And that's curveball in there, 1-1. You know, Ron Darling has gotten away from throwing curveballs. He's gone more and more to that split finger fastball, and I think it's hurt him. I think he, having a good curveball, could use it a lot more. Now he's coming back a little more with it. High pop up to left field. And the left fielder puts it away. Kevin McReynolds makes the play as you look at Buck Rogers.
Ralph, I do agree with you in what you said about Ron Darling. I think the split-fingered fastball has him throwing off to the side too much, and I think it's affected the effectiveness of his curveball, and he has gone away from it more and more because he's been leaving it up there hanging a little bit.
There he comes back with a split finger. Then he picks up the strike to Dave Engel. Engel grounded out his first time up.
He was on top of that split finger. That's when he throws it at his best. He likes to be cute with and get on the side.
Another one and a good pitch right there, strike 2.
Sometimes you can get a little enamored with a pitch. You can make it do different things. But I do think it has cost him some effectiveness on his curveball.
And he has a good curve. Fastball, and that was close.
I'll tell you, you take that pitch on Lee Wire, you got some guts right there.
1-2, the count. The Mets leading 6-4. One man out, top of the 4th.
Lee Wire being one of the umpires with the largest strike zone, and proud of it.
There it is. That pitch actually wasn't as good as it was before. So the strikeout, 2 men away, and it brings up Herm Winningham. This game is brought to you in part by RC Cola. People go out of their way for the taste of RC. And by your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Lincoln Mercury dealers. Strikeout for Darling, his second in the game, and Winningham moves out in bunting position, takes for ball 1. Winningham is certainly no power hitter. He has no runs batted in. But bunting in front of the pitcher is not a very good move. There's a ball hit out to deep right center field. Could be extra bases, and it is off the wall. Ball fielded by Strawberry, and Winningham comes up with a double.
Darling with a split finger that kind of stays up. Winningham stays back and really hits this ball well.
Number 27.
Strawberry, barehanded,
Pitcher.
has no chance to stop him at second base.
McGaffigan.
That's a dangerous pickup, because if you miss it, the guy might be able to go to third base.
So 2 men away, a runner at second base. And a pretty face right there on a cool evening here, but really not a bad night for baseball. And the first pitch, a fastball for ball one. Mets leading by 2 runs, a pitcher hitting in this spot. Gaffigan, and he fouls off the fastball.
Pretty soon, Ralph, they're going to start taking the balls and analyze them and breaking some open. See if there really is something inside there that's making the ball move better.
Well, there have been some shots hit in this ballpark, in this homestand, and also in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and St. Louis. So the talk will be about the rabbit.
I have never seen the ball go out the center field fence, over the center field fence like it has this year.
And the count now 3-1 to the pitcher McGaffigan.
I know back in the mid-70s, early in mid-70s, when I was first here with the New York Mets, boy, you hit it over the center field fence, you hit it a ton.
There weren't many hit over there, that's for sure. One of them was hit over there by Dick Allen.
I mean, that was a big deal to hit a ball over the center field fence here, and they're flying out of here.
410 feet away to straightaway center field. And strike 3, caught him looking. 1 hit, 1 left to score at the end of 3.5 innings. The Mets 6, Montreal 4. Now here's a word from R.C. Cola. Well, we're going now to the bottom half of the 4th inning. The Mets leading by a score of 6-4. Rusty Staub here with us, and Rusty, a man who had pinch hits in 8 consecutive at-bats. The only man to do it in the National League. Dave Foley did it in the American. So, Rusty, grab a bat, pinch hit.
I think I'm going to leave those bats in the closet right now, Ralph. Might get a couple of them out during the old-timers games.
That's right, you're going to play in an old-timers game in Montreal, right?
Well, I'm going to play here with the Mets and in Montreal.
You ready for it?
Well, I told him I would prefer to pinch hit, and if I do get lucky enough to get on, to definitely have a pinch runner coming out. I kind of got used to that the last few years I played.
Well, the leadoff batter for the Mets is Keith Hernandez, and he takes for ball 1. Keith has been up twice, lined out his first time up, robbed of a base hit, and he was walked on 4 pitches, batting for the first time against Andy McGaffigan. And Keith brought in a 13-game hitting streak into this game. He's 0 for 1. And the fastball is strike.
Ralph, I've always liked Andy McGaffigan's stuff. He has an excellent changeup to go with the fastball and his slider curve, you know, if you want to call it a swerve. Just never understood why he was not a better pitcher.
And he misses low with the fastball. 10-5 last year with 2 saves.
He really kind of had his first year where people paid attention to him a little bit. The first time he pitched, I think the first time I saw him pitching was with the Giants. And he was very impressive as far as a hitter facing a pitcher for the first time, as far as his stuff. He had the good live fastball. He throws in the 90s. Should be a good pitcher.
Originally signed by the Yankees, and he misses low again with the fastball, 3-1.
You can throw in the 90s and have a good changeup and get it over. You're going to make some people look bad. You're going to get them out.
Born in West Palm Beach, Florida, 1956. Gets a strike call. He thinking that ball was high, but Lee Wire said no. Strike 2.
Well, this is Lee Wire. And that ball, I think that ball's a strike.
Well, Keith, of course, working on that hitting streak, so he does get a chance to see another pitch here rather than walk. And a Strike three swing.
It was an excellent change to strike Keith Hernandez out. The Nissan scoreboard in the National League. Padres in Chicago. Cubs win 7-5. 12-1 in the 8th inning. The Astros in Atlanta. 2-1 in the 7th. Pirates over the Giants. 5-4 in the 4th. The Reds over the Phillies. And at the bottom of the 1st, no score. Dodgers at St. Louis.
And now the batter, Darryl Strawberry, and Darryl fouls off a fastball. Darryl with a home run in the 1st inning to put the Mets up by a score of 2-0. And grounded out with the bases loaded for the final out in the 2nd. Darryl now has 6 home runs. And that fastball out of the strike zone, 1-1. You're watching Mets Baseball 87 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. And a good fastball. 1-2. Darryl just under that fastball.
He certainly had a good swing at that ball. Watch his head. He's on it a little bit, and right at the end, he pulled his head off.
So a 1-2 count. This ball hit right through the middle, and Gaffigan lucky to get out of that one alive.
You saw McGaffigan stick his tongue out right there. He didn't want anything to do with that ball as it went by. He almost fell right into this. That's got to scare you on the mound. I don't care how composed you are. Watch this ball come back through there. I mean, that ball is by him before he even has a chance to think. They will talk about that before this game is over. He's looking at that glove. He's going, where were you? I needed you bad.
He needed a cage to get behind that one. So the Mets have a runner at first base with 1 out, and Kevin McReynolds the batter. Kevin has a single and a double in 2 times up.
Casey Candaele still not getting any help in the Expo dugout. They are not playing well together. They are not shifting together. They're not moving well in the outfield together. They have some guys that are new to the league, and they should be getting some help in the outfield, and they're not receiving it.
Outfield straight away and deep. The right fielder very deep. Strawberry draws the throw. Engel in right field, almost on the warning track. And the fastball in tight. He pops it up to shallow center. Winningham puts it away, 2 men away as Strawberry goes back to first.
Shortstop.
That'll bring up Howard Johnson. Howard has struck out and grounded out. Mets leading 6-4. We're in the bottom half of the 4th inning with 2 men out. Johnson playing shortstop tonight. Rafael Santana with a bad shoulder. Second night that Johnson has started at shortstop. Turned an outstanding double play early in the ball game on Mike Fitzgerald. That was back in the 3rd. Strawberry a short lead at first base. And the off-speed pitch, a called strike.
The old equalizer to the left-handed hitter. Ball he struck Keith Hernandez out on. If you're set up to hit every pitch, it's very, especially when Keith Hernandez is in a hot streak like he is, to make him swing as much as he missed there, you know that's an outstanding pitch.
Throw to first base, Strawberry back. 3-2 changeup. It's rather an unusual selection on 3-2.
In baseball in this era, in this last 10 years, the 2-0, 3-1, 3-2 off-speed pitch is just in the game now.
I always thought a changeup when the batter was in the hole was a bad pitch. There's a swing and a miss, and a strike 2. When you're hitting defensively at the plate, trying to keep from striking out, the changeup is thrown, you have a much better chance to hit it than when you're looking fastball, like you would be 3-1, 2-0.
If you get the ball over the plate, it's a great pitch.
Ground ball to the second base side. Vance Law, the second baseman. And that'll do it. 1 hit and 1 left. And the score at the end of 4. The Mets 6, Montreal 4. Now here's a word from the good olds guys.
Hitting home runs is the fun part of my job. Catching is the tough part, the sweaty part. But you won't catch me showering with deodorant soap. I made a break from all that. A clean break with Ivory. Look, that's basic, natural, honest soap. Not like soaps that cover you with smelly perfumes or deodorant. What's that got to do with clean? Ivory's clean is an honest clean. You can smell it, you can feel it.
Make a clean break, because you just can't beat Ivory's honest clean.
Even when you got a special date.
Well, in the bottom of the 4th inning, Strawberry hit a ball through the middle that just did miss McGaffigan. How far did he miss him by? Well, you saw him hold up his forefinger and thumb.
That will shake you up, gentlemen. He's standing there. Look at that expression.
I think he's going, thanking God right there.
Dear Lord, thank you very much.
And now we go to the top of the 5th inning, and the first pitch by Ron Darling to Candell, taken for ball 1. Candell in this game, 1 for 2. A single to right center field. He goes after the splitter. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's 6 runs on 10 hits. The Montreal Expos 4 runs on 7. Montreal with 2 home runs. And the Mets with 2. 2 balls, 1 strike.
You and Timmy were talking about Casey Candell. What a good year he had in AAA last year. All the way up the line in all the leagues he's been in. He's been the MVP on his team every year.
Kind of a left-handed hitting Eddie Stanky. Type of fellow that just wears you out. Those little things that help.
Not tall in stature, but awfully big in heart.
Came into this game with an on-base average as a leadoff batter of .423, 6th in the league. 2-2. Now 3-2. Switch hitter. And it's slapped right up the middle, and this time Downing gets the glove on it. Oh, that's quick reaction.
That is. It looked like he was picking a cherry off the side of a tree there. Ron Darling, one of the finest athletes in baseball, I think. Just moved off to the side and said, I'll take that.
So what a way on the line drive caught by Darling that brings up Tom Foley, who had a 3-run home run in the 3rd inning. He's 2 for 2 tonight. Looped a base hit to left field his first time up. Foley's first home run of the year. Last year he had only 1. And the splitter for ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes.
Sometime a pitcher falls in love with movement on the ball, just to see the ball tail away. Both those pitches, the fastball tailed away, the split finger tailed away.
And that fastball right on the outside corner, 2-1.
Sometimes you have to remember the basics. Get ahead and then worry about moving that ball around.
And the curveball. 3-1, so Darling behind Foley as the Mets lead 6-4.
Darling's best games are the games when he is ahead in the count on the hitters.
And the fastball fouled off, 3-2.
Of course, he's not alone in that. Any pitcher that stays ahead of the hitters definitely has an advantage. Get those good hitters 2-0, 3-1.
The only way you can get away with that is if you're a very good control pitcher. There's ball 4. Early Wynn used to go to 3-2 on everybody.
And we're going to get a look here at the Nissan American League scoreboard. In the 4th inning, the Twins 1-0 over the Yanks. In the 5th, the Rangers 1, Toronto 0. In the 3rd inning, it's the White Sox 1 and the Orioles 0. No score in the second inning. The Indians at the Royals, the Tigers Athletics, Brewers Mariners, Red Sox and Angels are all later tonight.
Darling's first walk puts a runner at first, puts a tying run at the plate. Andres Galarraga, the batter. Andres has flied out to right and flied out to center in his 2 appearances tonight. Darling has walked twice already this year. And the fastball fouled away. Hitting .319 at the start of the game, 1 home run, 15 runs batted in. He's had 7 two-base hits.
It's going to be interesting to see, Ralph, if Galarraga can stay healthy for a season. Had a lot of problems, missed over 50 games last season. If he puts in a full year, his statistics are going to be interesting to see.
He can hit the ball a ton. Ground ball to the shortstop, Howard Johnson. He makes the play at second in time, but they can't get the double play. But still an outstanding job by Johnson coming up with that ball and making a perfect throw to Backman covering second.
That's 2 excellent plays by Howard Johnson. Fielding some tough balls, off balance, makes a good throw. Wally Backman very bravely stays in on this play. Here you're going to see Foley coming down, and he is going to go in hard. Wally Backman stays in there best he can. Foley with a good clean slide, doing his job.
And Tim Wallach, the batter. Fastball for ball 1. Wallach with a base hit in 2 at-bats. Single to left field in the 3rd.
And give Galarraga an A for effort, as he got down that line quick.
The cat, they call it.
He is, too. He's a big man, and he moved down that line very well.
2-0, so Darling behind the hitter. And Wallach has outstanding power. 18 home runs last year, 71 runs batted in.
Wallach played with a lot of pain last year. Some of his numbers were down.
And the fastball fouled off, 2-1.
Sometimes you don't realize that when you just see statistics. There were a lot of times, probably, when Tim Wallach should not have been in the lineup. As they call him, he's a gamer.
It's amazing how many more home runs he's hit on the road than at home, because Montreal is a very good hitter's park.
I think for a right-handed hitter, yes. Ball seems to jump in left field, left center.
And they got a dome on the ballpark now.
It's going to be interesting to see, Ralph. Things have been being built for a long time.
3-1, so again, Darling in a dangerous situation. Mets lead by 2, a home run hitter at the plate, and Darling behind in the count, 3 balls and 1 strike.
Wallach likes the ball down and in.
The pitch is down and in, and Wallach gets under it and hits a high fly ball to center. So Darling will get out of it as Dykstra makes the catch. And that retires the side. A walk and 1 left, and the score at the end of 4.5 innings. The Mets 6, Montreal 4. Now here's a word from Budweiser.
A defector from the Russian ballet keeps the Hearts on their toes Monday at 5.
Bottom half of the 5th, the Mets leading 6-4. And for the Mets, it'll be Dave Magadin to lead it off. Dave looking for his first hit, is 0 for 2. Struck out swinging at a 3-2 pitch his first time up, and then rounded into a fielder's choice in the 3rd. Dave picking up an RBI when Montreal failed to get the runner coming in from 3rd base. On the mound, Andy McGaffigan, who relieved the starting pitcher, Bryn Smith. And the fastball is strike.
Gaffigan, like a lot of relievers, again in this new era of baseball, throwing from the stretch with nobody on base.
It's much easier to hit a pitcher when he doesn't wind up. This one blooped into left field. Coming up in the ball is the left fielder, Candell, and he makes the play.
Catcher, Barry Lyons.
That'll bring up Barry Lyons, who had a home run his first time up in the second, also has struck out. For Barry, his second home run in the major leagues. Got his first against the Cardinals earlier in this homestand. Both of his home runs almost like blueprints, right over the 371 mark.
Both scalded, and I bet you 2 feet didn't separate them, Ralph.
Right center field. And there's one he could have hit out that way, but he takes a fastball, strike one.
Well, the last time, Bryn Smith, after giving that home run, started him with a fastball hard and in. Really tied him up. He might have been looking in again that time.
And the slider for a ball, 1-1. Montreal with a record of 8-12. They're 4 games behind the Cardinals. The Mets have a record of 11-9, 1 game back of St. Louis in second place. Cubs won today, so they're a game and a half out. And he goes after the slider, 1-2.
One of the things a pitcher has to do is to make those big hitters be aware inside, not to let them be able to lean out over that plate and handle those pitches out there.
There's one outside, hit on the ground to Vance Law. So 2 men away. And it brings up Ron Darling. Darling doubled his last time up and drove in a run, and then later on scored. He's helped his own cause. It's doubled, his second hit of the year, and they have both been doubled. Strike call. Boy, Lee Wire does have a big strike zone.
He tells you going in, gentlemen, I have a wide one. I'm always going to have a wide one, and you better be swinging the bat.
He is a pitcher's umpire.
The only area that I feel Lee Wire makes some erratic calls is on the breaking balls that are up. Occasionally he'll call those strikes.
And again, a fastball. This time he calls it a ball. That's 1-1.
His strike zone is fairly consistent. That's the only area where sometimes there's some debate. You just know you're going to have to swing the bat when he's the umpire.
And this one hit right off the end of the bat. Foul ball, and it's 1-2.
I actually, Ralph, when he was the umpire, if a pitcher was really observant or a catcher, they could jam me when he was the umpire, because on certain pitchers, I would move up a little bit and definitely crowd the plate a little more because his strike zone is so wide. I wanted to be able to cover his strike zone, not the plate.
Not many hitters adjust in the batter's box and stand in different places, but you did. And a good slider, strike 3. So McGaffigan gets his second strikeout, and he gets his first 1-2-3 inning. And the score at the end of 5 as Steve Zabriskie comes in to join Rusty Staub. The New York Mets 6, the Montreal Expos 4. Now here's a word from Nissan.
Welcome back to Shea Stadium on a beautiful night for baseball. In fact, the best night of the year, I think. And as you see Ron Darling throw a curveball high, let's welcome back into the booth, Steve Zabriskie.
Thanks a lot, Russ. Mike Fitzgerald, who had that home run back in the second inning, leading it off with New York leading 6-4 as we start the 6th inning. And it's 2-0 to Mike. Well, that speaks well for the offense, but not too well for the way the pitching has performed so far. Consequently, the Mets with a much higher ERA than one would have anticipated opening the season. And now it's 3-0 to Fitzgerald leading off the 6th.
The Mets knew they would have to battle with the loss of Dwight Gooden and Roger McDowell. See strike 1 from Ron Darling. There was no doubt that they were going to have to scuffle. The offense, especially early on, was holding everything up. And I think you're going to see a real relaxed ball club right now. I think they're really going to come. You see strike 2.
Well, I think one of the big pluses was the game last night, because for the first time this season, the Mets really put everything together. They played outstanding defense. They got an outstanding pitching performance. Excuse me, from Rick Aguilera. 3-2 pitch foul back, and the count remains full.
I agree that was a good game, Steve. I think the victory over Mike Scott might have been one of the real big wins the New York Mets have had, especially after the playoffs and his domination. Keith Hernandez hitting a home run and driving in another one. Sid Fernandez pitching a good game. I think that was as important as anything.
Certainly a turning point, and that's what the Mets were looking for, is a turning point. Fitzgerald hangs in there, and the count's still 3-2.
Mike Scott became invincible.
From invincible to vincible.
That's it.
Popped up behind third, well, short left field now. Kevin McReynolds there, one away. But you see what Darling has done so far. He's had a higher number of strikes than balls, but not an outstanding ratio in that department. But 77 pitches through 5 innings is not that bad.
It's not an excellent game.
It's not economy, but it's not bad. Vanslaw 0 for 2 has flied to right and flied to shallow left. He takes strike 1. Missed 1-1. Law has hit his 4 home runs that he has this year in just the last 5 games. And he was telling me before the game that he's trying to pull the ball more than in years past. They moved him down in the order where they want, as he asks for time now, they want a little more run production from him, and so in an effort to provide that, he has tried to pull the ball more.
It's something to be seen. Sometimes you cannot change the spots on a leopard. He certainly has hit some home runs. The loss of U.B. Brooks hurting the Montreal Expos tremendously.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, Healy, just such an offensive production year after year. Having him play short and do that, obviously a bonus. And there's Buck Rogers, who has had to deal with all of this and had the Expos playing very well into the latter half of last season until the injuries, and especially the loss of Brooks, really hurt him. 2-2 now. Darling's given up 4 runs on 7 hits. He has struck out 3 and walked only 1. And now it's 3-2.
Ronnie is struggling a lot tonight. He's missing pitches by a large amount. He's throwing balls that are not close to being strikes. So he's battling with his rhythm here today.
Just outside, Darling and Lyons thought it was a strike, but it's ball 4. Second walk issued by Darling. And with 1 out, Vanslaw will be at first base for Dave Engel.
See Ron Darling, ball coming back. We get a look at Ron Darling's reaction to the call.
Right fielder, Dave Engel.
I don't know if he was disgusted with the pitch or with the call, but the ball looked like it was outside.
Just plain unhappy. Engel swings and misses for strike 1. Dave 0 for 2, grounded to Hernandez in the second and struck out looking in the fourth. And a last-minute replacement for Mitch Webster, who was scheduled to start in right field but came up with the flu prior to the game. A lot of times you see a guy come in at the last minute and have a great night.
I'm trying to remember the guy from Cincinnati. It started with an R last year. He got 5 hits in the game where they stuck him in right at the end of the pregame.
Rowden.
That's it, Rowden.
Magadan goes to second for 1, and they complete the double play. Nicely turned by Backman at second. Second double play of the night for New York. So a walk and nobody left here in the 6th inning for Montreal. After 5 1/2, it's still New York 6 and the Expos 4. And we'll be back at Shea after this for the good old Skies.
I mentioned Wally Backman made a good pivot on the turn at second on the double play, and here's the point of view he had with Vance Law bearing down on him.
Again, as we said before, when Foley came down, a good, hard, aggressive slide. Nothing ridiculous. Wally Backman standing in there like a trooper and turning the double play.
You have to have a little hurdler in you.
You got to have a little guts, too.
Well, no one ever said Walter was short on that department.
No way. He's got him.
He's on deck as Len Dykstra will lead it off for New York here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Mets leading 6-4, and the top of the order against Andy McGaffigan. Dykstra takes strike one. Lenny tonight 2 for 3, has single to left center and single to right. He's also driven in a run. And it's strike 2.
I know I'm partial to paying attention to certain things on the field, but I have never seen more outfielders out of position in a season than I have this season. I mean, I know they have new people in the league, but I have to tell everybody that it's unbelievable how they're playing defensively here.
Dave Ingles playing like he's got his shoes glued in one spot out there in right field. He plays everybody about the same. He's moved over a little bit towards center now as he sees Dykstra foul off a pitch, and Dykstra has 2 strikes on him, less likely to pull the ball. But he's awfully deep. And Dykstra struck out. 3 strikeouts for McGaffigan. 1 out here in the 6th inning, and Wally Backman will be the hitter.
Second baseman, Wally Backman.
Gaffigan, good. I think that was a fastball. He just blew that by him. Sometimes you really can't tell on the slow-mo, but I think that was a fastball that just beat Lenny Dykstra.
One of the few times you'll see somebody waving to themselves on television. Waving to themselves right here. Backman grounds it up the middle, Foley over, and flips on to Galarraga, 2 away. Twice now, after Backman had singles his first 2 at-bats, Foley's made good plays to retire him. So with 2 out and nobody on, Keith Hernandez, who is 0 for 2 plus a walk, will stand in there. Keith with his 13-game hitting streak on the line tonight.
I guess all of us ex-players pay attention to certain positions we've been involved with in our careers. Tim McCarver probably sees a few more things that a catcher would be involved with. Myself, the outfielders, and the first baseman. But I think my biggest study are those guys 60 feet 6 inches away.
You are the premier student in that category, partner. Nobody studied them that I've ever seen like you.
Just trying to get an edge. If you can get a little bit of an edge, it's a plus.
Well, it had to be an even bigger boon to you when you got to the point in your career where you were pinch hitting all the time.
Agreed.
Strike called, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
When you only have 1 shot at it, every little edge is a plus. I used to hate it when I had a guy's pitches. If I had some little idiosyncrasy and I could pick it up and it'd bring in a reliever and I wouldn't get a chance to face him.
Fouled out of play, and the count goes to 1-2.
Hernandez trying to keep that hitting streak alive.
His career high is 15 games. That was with St. Louis in 1982. Keith also has a streak going of 3 homers in 3 games. And he could tie a Met record with 4 in 4. Fouled out of play again, still 1-2. Hernandez over his 13-game streak has hit .391. He has raised his average 154 points during the 13-game streak.
Well, in the beginning of the season, he was slumping a little bit, putting a little too much pressure on himself. The weather was terrible. A few things went against him. I said then, and I'll say it again, he will be there.
And Hernandez struck out for the 2nd time on a similar pitch, this time by McGaffigan, the other time by Smith. I take that back. The other time was also by McGaffigan. Mets still lead at 6-4 after 6 complete here at Shea. We're back after this for Metropolitan Life. Herm Winningham, the former Met's, going to lead it off for the Expos here in the top of the 7th. 6-4, New York leading. Ron Darling has gone all the way. Wallace Johnson on deck to pinch hit for Andy McGaffigan, scheduled up second in the inning, and then Casey Candell, the top of the order. Winningham comes up to bat, looking to bunt, but takes it, and it's a strike anyway. You can see how the Mets bunched him in the first 3 innings. 3 hits in each of the first 3, and the Expos with 4 hits in the 3rd when they scored 3 of their 4 runs. That's out of play, and it's 0-2 to Winningham. Randy St. Clair warming for Montreal, so he will more than likely be the pitcher for the Expos in the bottom half of the 7th. 4-7-0 for Montreal, 6-10-0 for New York. And Darling gets Winningham on 3 pitches. Strikeout number 4 for Ronnie.
This is going to be one of those split fingers that's really going to move down and away. That ball, you just cannot hit it.
He took a dive. You can't dive after it quick enough.
2 strikes, you have to protect inside, you have to protect the whole plate. Somebody lays one of those on you, just got to tote that lumber back to the dugout, pal. See you later.
It's not fair. Wallace Johnson hitting 143 on the year. He is 2 for 8 with 1 RBI as a pinch hitter. That is his only RBI so far. Ball 1. So McGaffigan does another fine job in relief for Montreal. And leaves for the pinch hitter. 2-0. Wallace Johnson is a certified public accountant. So his busiest time of year is now over, and he can get back to baseball. Fouled off the catcher, Barry Lyons, and it's 2-1. He does do tax returns for some of his teammates.
Well, I certainly hope he gets them right, especially with all the new changes in the new tax laws that are involved in filing those reports.
Plus, he's got Canadian money being paid to U.S. residents. That's a fun one. High and deep to right. Strawberry looking at it, and it's gone. Wallace Johnson with his first home run of the year, and it's a 1-run ball game. New York now leading 6-5. That is the 3rd home run of the night given up by Ron Darling, who has now allowed a total of 6 on the year.
Left fielder, Casey Candell.
I don't know how his tax returns are going to turn out, but this swing certainly takes care of a lot of problems. It's just a fastball up in the strike zone. Had a good swing at it.
That's a dividend you don't have to pay taxes on.
Oh, that's cute, pal. That's cute.
Casey Candell, 1 for 3, singled and scored in the 3rd. Takes the ball low and away, 2-0. Hernandez coming in to talk to Darling as activity begins in the New York bullpen. So Keith buying a little time. And Doug Sisk up and throwing. 1 out, nobody on, and a run in on Wallace Johnson's pinch hit home run. Strike 1, and it's 2 balls, 1 strike to Candell. Entering the game, Casey in his previous 42 at-bats was hitting .333 and had an on-base percentage of .429. Skies this one to left. McReynolds has room. Kevin makes the catch, and there are 2 gone. And that'll bring up Tom Foley. Foley is perfect at the plate tonight and has also made a couple of good plays in the field at short. He singled to left and stole a base in the 1st inning, and then hit a 3-run home run to right field in the 3rd. He walked in the 5th. Ball 1.
There's that pitch where Ron Darling kind of leaves the ball out over the plate, kind of dragging that arm through. Off to the side.
sort of a lazy pitch when it comes up there, too. If it's in the strike zone, it's eminently hittable. It doesn't have a lot of bite to it.
He's been fighting it all night.
Now he's gone to 3-0 on Foley.
Foley has definitely been the nemesis so far for Ron Darling tonight. When Ron Darling gets in trouble, sometimes Barry Lyons does not know this. You have to slow Ron Darling down a little bit, or he'll just start rapid firing to the plate. And he makes more mistakes when he does that.
Ball 4. Third walk Darling has issued. So Foley will be at first with 2 out as he walks for the second consecutive at bat. And Andres Galarraga, who has home run power, will be the hitter. A 6-5 New York lead with 2 out in the top of the 7th.
Well, they're sending Barry Lyons and Howard Johnson to the mound just to give Sisk a little more time to warm up in the bullpen. Certainly has had enough time to get ready. And we are going to see him right now.
Davies coming out to get Ron and bring in Doug. So Darling goes 6 2/3 and will leave ahead in this game, but with the tying run at first base and 2 out here in the 7th. So here in the 7th with New York leading 6-5, we'll be back after this for Mita Copiers.
And you see Doug Sisk throwing his warm-up tosses. He's been in 8 games, no record yet. 4.22 earned run average. Has a couple of saves. 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and given up 13 hits in 10 2/3 innings.
And Dougie, after going more than 1 full season without giving up a home run, in excess of 120 innings of work, has allowed 2 homers already this year, and Ron Darling, head in hand, will await the outcome in the Mets dugout. Darling, of course, the champion of the no decision, and he leaves with a 1-run lead, but the tying run on base and his responsibility.
I'll tell you, he gets an A for giving it all he's got out there tonight, because he did not have his good stuff, and he was just battling.
Galarraga takes the sinker low, and it's ball 1. Galarraga tonight, 0 for 3, is flying to right, flying deep to left center field to Dykstra, and he reached on a fielder's choice in the 5th. Sinker too low, and it's 2-0.
Traditional start for Doug Sisk, evoking a few yells from the loyal Met fans.
It seems to always take Doug a hitter or 2 to get some rhythm going. 3-0 now. 2 out here in the top of the 7th. A run in on a pinch hit home run by Wallace Johnson. New York leading 6-5, and the tying run in the person of Tom Foley at first base. 3-1.
Andres Galarraga taking all the way that time, a little surprising to me. Sometimes a manager be a little aggressive in that situation, thinking the pitcher would try to throw a strike.
Ball 4. So characteristically, Doug Sisk walks the first batter he faces upon entering the game. That moves the potential tying run down to second base in scoring position with 2 out for Tim Wallach. And Darling still with his head in his hand.
Well, as many times as Ron Darling has had a no decision over the last 2 or 3 seasons, it has to, you have to be haunted by it a little bit. You have to think about that. Kind of tough not to show emotion in those situations.
Wallach takes a strike. Eli, as the players call him, 1 for 3, has struck out, single to left, and fly to center. Runners at first and second with 2 out. Foul outside of third, and the count 0-2. Wallach did something that not many adults do. This winter, he had a full set of braces put on his teeth. His wife had had braces on for 3 years, and he said that her teeth turned out so beautifully that she talked him into doing it, and he figures he'll have to wear them for 2 years. Well hit to left. McReynolds on the run, can't catch up to it. It's off the base of the wall. 1 run scores, and the relay will not be made, and also Galarraga held up at third. So Wallach doubles in the tying run. It will, in fact, be another no decision for Ron Darling, as the game is tied 6-6 here in the 7th inning with runners at second and third.
Doug Sisk, it's a strength against a strength. A single ball pitcher against a guy that likes the ball down and in. Wallach wins this one. And Jackie Moore makes a decision not to send Galarraga, and that would have been a close play at the plate. The throw from Howard Johnson would have had to have been right on the money, I think, to get him. You see Ronnie Darling. Has to be a little exasperating.
Well, all you can think is, here we go again. With maybe a why me thrown in there. Mike Fitzgerald, the batter now. Fitzgerald with a home run and 3 at-bats. Ball 1. Tim Wallach picking up his 11th RBI of the year to tie the game with 2 out here in the 7th. Wallach at second with the double. And Galarraga at third with the go-ahead run. Ball 2.
Johnson deciding to have Mel Stottlemyre called down to the bullpen. Get somebody moving around a little.
Foul out of play in the count 2-1. And there is hurriedly Terry Leach warming up once again. Leach was up early in the ball game. Darling had problems in the 3rd inning.
He's joined by Gene Walter.
Ball to center field. Dykstra going back. The ball carrying. Dykstra makes the catch just short of the warning track. But the Montreal Expos scored 2 runs in the top half of the 7th inning to tie the ball game at 6-6 after 6 1/2. We'll be back to Shea after this for your Lincoln Mercury dealer. Fans, we want to remind you that the rematch of the World Series is coming up this coming week, Thursday, May 7th. And note the start time, 7 o'clock. It's the rematch between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Mets as the Sox come here to Shea to continue the annual charity event with the proceeds going to the New York Mets Baseball Foundation for amateur ball and to the Jimmy Fund, the Boston Cancer Research Fund. And thanks to 9X Yellow Pages, all fans will receive a suitable for framing full-color poster commemorating the 1986 World Series. Great seats are still available to this big game, so check with Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or call 718-507-TIXX if you'd like more information with the Mets and the Red Sox on Thursday, May 7th at 7 p.m.
And when the Mets and the San Francisco Giants meet each other on Sunday, May 17th at 1:35 p.m., it'll be Sweet and Low's Ladies Tote Bag Day. All ladies 15 and over will receive a specially designed canvas tote bag featuring the Mets World Championship logo, courtesy of Sweet and Low. Again, tickets are available at all your Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or by calling 718-507-TIXX during regular business hours for all the ticket information you need.
Bottom of the 7th inning in what is now a tie ball game, and Randy St. Clair will come on to be the 3rd pitcher of the night for Montreal, and of course Darryl Strawberry will be the first hitter to face him.
Steve St. Clair has a 1-0 record with a 4.38 earned run average. He's been in 11 games. He's had 3 saves. He's pitched 2 1/3 innings, 12 1/3 innings, given up 14 hits, 6 runs, 6 earned runs, given up 1 home run, walked 4, struck out 7, and is one of the promising young pitchers that, again, with the Montreal Expos, they really expect this young man to be a good pitcher. He's just never really put it together to the extent that they expect out of him.
And they have a lot of guys on their staff that could fit that same category. And here's another guy who has been dogged by his own potential throughout his young career, but this year, really making his presence felt. Of course, the Bill Webb fan club always in attendance. Both those people come to every game, I think. And Strawberry fouls the first pitch out of play for strike 1. Darryl tonight with a big 2-run home run in the first. And he also singled to center in the 4th inning, 2 for 3. His home run was his 6th, and he now has 19 RBIs.
I think it's a shame that Billy Webb every day grabs 2 kids, drags them into the ballpark, and makes them carry those banners.
It's costing Webby a lot of money, too. Those kids want to be paid. Fastball on the inside corner for strike 2, 0-2.
Same banner for 3 years. I think they'd come up with something new once in a while.
He doesn't want to pay the guys and also have to buy a new banner. Come on. Darryl fouls another one out of play, still 0-2. St. Clair working here in the 7th in relief of Andy McGaffigan, who pitched a strong 3 in the 3rd innings. No runs and 2 hits, and struck out 4. After Bryn Smith, the starter, left after only 2 2/3 innings. Smith off the hook now as the game is tied.
They may need a walkie-talkie to get to these outfielders. They're so far out there right now.
What's the old saying? They should have bought a seat. Need to buy a ticket.
If he gets one over their heads and it doesn't go out of the ballpark, I'm not going to believe it.
Down low, 1 ball, 2 strikes. They are deep. Swung around a little bit to right. And Darryl skies it into short left center field. Candell coming hard. And he and Winningham come together, and Winningham makes the catch. 1 away.
Left fielder, Kevin McReynolds.
This is almost a collision. A little back off right at the end by Candell. Saved that collision. They had to come in real hard. That ball was extremely high. For them to have trouble with the ball that high tells you how deep they were. Because that ball was a Baby Ruth pop-up.
Kevin McReynolds is 2 for 3. And he lines one into center field. Winningham going over, makes a fine running catch. McReynolds had another one right on the nose, but Winningham ran it down 2 away.
And now the bench shortstop.
There you have the National League Nissan scoreboard. A final, the Cubs over the Padres 7-5. Another final in Atlanta, the Astros 12, Atlanta 3. A final in Pittsburgh, the Pirates 4-2 over the Giants. In the 8th inning, it's the Reds 8, Phillies 5. And at the bottom of the 4th, the Dodgers over the Cardinals 1-0.
Red machine keeps turning out the runs, don't they?
What an offense.
Howard Johnson 0 for 3 has struck out and grounded out twice. Batting here in the 7th with 2 out and nobody on. Fastball for strike 1. A 6-6 tie as Montreal tied it with 2 in the top half of this, the 7th inning. Check swing, bouncer back to the mound. St. Clair throws him out, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Randy St. Clair here in the 7th. So we'll go to the 8th inning. Rusty Staub will say adieu, and Tim McCarver will return after this word for Bud Light.
America speaks out for Chevrolet.
Performance. That's something I know a thing or two about. And so does your Chevrolet dealer. Nobody has a better choice of performance cars, and every one the most affordable in its class. Cavalier Z24, the all-new Beretta GT, IROC Camaro, Monte Carlo SS, and the world-class Corvette. And all at one place, your Tri-State Chevy dealer.
Michael Reagan's True Confessions after the game on News 9 Primetime.
Doug Sisk still in the game as we go to the top of the 8th inning in a tie, 6-6 after 7. And coming back in, a guy who is always in the game as an announcer, just as he was as a player, Tim McCarver.
I thought you were going to say I was always fit to be tied. Ron Darling does indeed have a reason to be fit to be tied. Another no decision for Ron. Vance Law in there. It's up to the bullpenners now, both starting pitchers out of there. 6-6 game, top of the 8th. And Law takes a fastball inside. Vance on the evening has walked. He's flied to left and flied to right. Swing and a foul tip, 1-1 to Vance Law. Doug Sisk came in with 2 out and Tom Foley at first base back in the 7th inning. And he proceeded to walk Andres Galarraga, and then a double by Tim Wallach tied it up. Think Galarraga could have scored on that ball? Been close, huh?
It would have been a close play, but the ball appeared to be bobbled a little bit by Howard Johnson, the cutoff man. Now, maybe it was just a hesitation when he saw that Galarraga was not going to try to score, but I was shocked to look up and see Galarraga held at third.
With 2 outs.
Yes.
Little looper to right field, Strawberry over, and he one-hands it, 1 away. Sisk really trying to get back to the form that saw him save 15 ball games back in 1983 for the Mets. As Dave Ingalls steps up, Dave is 0 for 3. He has struck out, grounded to first, and hit into a double play. So a long night for Dave Ingalls. It foul, 1-1.
In talking about Doug Sisk, we have mentioned it before, but the thing that makes him hard to hit is what gives him so many problems.
Yeah, that's
He's
true.
He's got unbelievable movement on his pitches, and if you ever stand behind the batting cage and watch him throw, it's hard to believe.
Well, if he does throw, you want to be behind the batting cage.
Yeah.
It's 2-1.
Ball, because of that movement, has a hard time staying in the strike zone.
Very difficult pitcher to catch, too, I would imagine. Good fastball there that really went down, 2-2. It's much like a hitter who has a lot of power and you try to cut down on his swing. You may cut down on his swing, but you may cut down on his power also. Ground ball towards short. High, nice hop for Howard Johnson. 2 away here in the 8th inning.
Let's check out the Nissan American League scoreboard. In the 7th inning, Minnesota leading the Yankees 7-1. In the 8th inning, Texas and Toronto are tied 2-2. In the 7th inning, Chicago shutting out Baltimore 5-0. No score in the 6th with Cleveland at Kansas City, and later on, Detroit's at Oakland, Milwaukee's at Seattle, and Boston's at California.
Herm Winningham, the batter. Herm 1 for 3. He doubled back in the 4th inning. Another grounder towards short. Johnson will have to hurry. Got him at first. So Johnson laying back on the grounder, but had a good strong arm to compensate. That's what the Mets hope to do. It's 6-6 after 7.5. We'll be back after this word from the New Jersey Bell Yellow Pages.
Nobody tells us like the daily news. It's this world champ's favorite sports section. Nobody knows us like the daily news. Jack O'Connell of the Daily News covers the Mets like I cover pop-ups. Sometimes better. Nobody shows it like the daily news. Nobody knows it. Nobody shows it. Nobody tells it like the daily news. Yes. New York's hometown favorite.
Reed Nichols has entered the game for defensive purposes, spelling Dave Engel. Reed now in right field. Nichols, formerly with the Boston Red Sox, if you'll remember. And the batter, Dave Magadan. 6-6 ball game. We're in the 8th inning. Magadan on the evening is 0 for 3. So Dave looking for that first hit. Change up and a beauty, 0-1. You're watching Mets Baseball 87 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. Barry Lyons on deck, 0-1 to Dave Magadan. Popped up left side, and it's out of play. Lee Mazzilli now moves to the on-deck circle. And I guess, folks, with the prospects of expansion, you will be interested in knowing that Dave Magadan, the last name Magadan denoting a port, a very large port near the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia, up near Shertsky and Pevek, towns with which Steve Zabriskie is very familiar.
Hey.
Long road trip over there, pal. Lined. What a play by Tom Foley to get Magadan. So I guess on cue, Magadan sent a line drive Russian toward Tom Foley, huh?
He was equal to the task here and found a port in his glove.
Lyons.
This is the third good play of the night by Tom Foley at shortstop. And he just took a hit away from Magadan right there. That ball a screaming one-hopper.
And here's Barry Lyons. He homered back in the second inning. He's 1 for 3. Randy St. Clair in relief of Andy McGaffigan. Randy, the third Montreal pitcher, and Lyons takes a strike. Dave was familiar with that port. Talked to him before the game.
How did you come upon that little bit of information?
Lined foul, so it's 0-2. That was sent to me. It was actually in the New York Times about a week ago. Sent to me by a gentleman.
Bits and pieces of knowledge that you will not get anywhere else.
Or care to get anywhere else, for that matter.
You certainly won't go looking for them.
No, no.
We'll just keep throwing them out anyway.
Right there, Vladivostok, right?
Yeah, it would have to be close by.
Ground ball right side, and it sneaks through there. So Barry Lyons has himself an opposite field base hit, and that's going to bring Mookie Wilson out. You may see a pinch runner for Lyons here. We'll see.
Well, this ball almost off the plate and away, and Barry Lyons going with it, slaps it right by a diving Vance Law for his second hit. He had homered back in the second inning. So the Mets have the go-ahead run aboard, the potential winning run with one out here in the bottom of the eighth.
I guess it's interesting to note that Lee Mazzilli would have been the batter with 2 out and nobody on. Has a little more power than Mookie, even though Mookie has 2 home runs this year.
And the other thing Maz has is that real good disciplined batting eye. In an effort to get on base, he walks more, at least has a tendency to walk more than Wilson. Mookie, although he's off to a great start hitting .375, still looking for his first hit as a pinch hitter. He's 0 for 4.
So Wilson up there with 1 out and Lyons at first, and he fouls back the changeup. No pinch runner being used. Of the runners on the bench, the fastest runner is hitting. Next fastest runner was going to be the hitter, Lee Mazzilli. But Barry Lyons in there, or on there at first, with 1 out, a 6-6 ball game, bottom of the 8th inning. Randy St. Clair on the mound. Changeup is low.
In a tie ball game, and this being the 8th and not the 9th, you see Buck Rogers signaling to Galarraga to not hold Lyons on at first. Davey obviously does not want to use 2 players at one time if he doesn't have to, because he, of course, has no way of knowing how long this game's going to go, and that 24-man roster might come into play again.
Fastball for a strike. Wilson does not agree with Lee Wire.
Here it is again. St. Clair's pitch right about at the knees, and Fitzgerald had set up outside, and St. Clair hit the target.
1-2 to Mookie Wilson. Change up low. 2-2. Someone else appears to have worked on the split finger fastball when he went to the minor leagues last year, and that's Randy St. Clair. Spent only 15 days with the Expos last year. Jams him with a fastball. St. Clair to Foley, and the double play's completed. 1-6-3. No runs ahead and none left for the Mets here in the 8th. And after 8, it's 6-6, and we'll be back after this word from Budweiser.
John Biner holds Carol Burnett hostage tonight at 11 on Channel 9.
Jesse Orosco, the third pitcher for the Mets on the evening. And Jesse has 6 saves in 7 games. The other game, he picked up his only loss, that game against the St. Louis Cardinals, back on the 18th of April. He leads the National Leagues in saves with 6, and he's one shy of the Major League leader, who is Dan Plasek of the Milwaukee Brewers. So Danny off to a good start. So is Jesse Orosco, and a guy always off to a good start, Steve Zabriskie.
Thank you, Timmy. Welcome. 29,506 on hand here total. A paid crowd of 28,808. And a pinch hitter, Alonzo Powell, right off the bat for Montreal, as the pitcher Randy St. Clair is scheduled up.
St. Clair, number 21. Alonzo
Powell hitting 200 on the year, no homers and 4 RBIs. He's 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter. So Jesse Orosco, the Mets' career leader in saves all time, has 97, but he's after a W tonight as the game is tied 6-6 as we go to the 9th inning. Ball 1. Alonzo Powell will be followed by Casey Candell and Tom Foley for Montreal. Fastball fouled off. 1-1.
Wow, 7 home runs hit in the game. You and Rusty were talking about how many balls are just taking off this year. One of those home runs by that fine young talent, Eric Davis, was a grand slam home run. So the Reds over the Phillies, 8-5.
Davis now with 9 homers. And unless Parker, who led the league with 8, hit one in that game, Davis would be the new leader in the National League. 2-1 now to Alonzo Powell leading off the 9th. Pinch hitting for Montreal. Doug Sisk worked 1 1/3 innings. He was not charged with any runs, but he did give up the RBI double to Tim Wallach that tied the ball game. It was the only hit he allowed. He did not strike out a batter and walked 1. 3-1 now to Powell.
And Powell has some pop. He had 15 home runs last year.
Swinging. Jesse Orosco with a fastball on the outside corner picks up his first strikeout, and there's 1 out in the 9th.
A lot of pitchers have favorite slots, and if that slot happens to be the spot that is the weakness of the hitter's in trouble. And Jesse Orosco's slot is that tailing fastball away to right-handed hitters. And that's one of the reasons he's wild often when he comes in the first hitter or two, because he's wild in that slot, that pitch away from a right-handed hitter.
Got that one right where he wanted it, and here's Casey Candell, 1 for 4, and he takes the ball outside. Candell singled and scored in the 3rd inning. He's grounded out, lined back to Darling in the 5th inning, and flied to left. And as you can tell, he likes it a lot better in Montreal, hitting over 400 at home and 230 on the road. Of course, it's awful early in the season for that stat to have a great deal of significance.
Yeah.
Montreal hadn't been home very much.
As a matter of fact, they are playing, in the process of playing, 20 of their first 26 on the road. Because of that dome up there being installed.
Fastball is high, and it's 2-0. And the latest on that Big O lid is that now they've had a problem with one of the generators that was supposed to move that baby, and it's become immovable. So now that they finally got it on there, it won't retract. Strike one makes it 2-1.
So I guess you could call it an immovable beast. Willie Shakes would call it that.
I'll tell you what, beast is the right word. That's the biggest white elephant I've ever seen. They've been trying to get it on for 15 years. Sharply hit and a base hit by Magadan at third. So with one out here in the ninth inning, Candel aboard on his second hit of the night, representing the go-ahead run for Montreal.
Candel, a slap single to left field. He had singled earlier in the game to right field. So I guess you could say that Candel has burned the Mets at both ends.
Oh, how long have you been waiting for that one?
Isn't that awful? Isn't that terrible? I'm sorry.
Oh, Tom Foley, 2 for 2 and 2 walks, including a 3-run home run. Well, they can't all be winners. I mean, you know, you get a lot more.
Wait a minute.
You get a lot more good wins.
Still out.
Oh, wow. I'm just giving my
Candel
opinion.
burned the Mets at both ends.
I like it.
If you have to repeat it, you can't like it that much.
It's just not up to your usual standards, that's all. Which are, we'll talk about it later. Very high as puns go. 2-1. Foley squaring momentarily, but took high and away. 3-1. Foley has had a great game tonight. He is 2 for 2, including the home run, walked twice, scored 2 runs, driven in 3, and made 3 outstanding plays in the field. The count is actually 1 ball, no strike. Or is it 1-1? There I go looking at the scoreboard again. And he drags it past the pitcher, Orosco. Nobody to cover. It'll go as a base hit. And Montreal has runners at first and second with 1 out here in the ninth in a tie game. Mel Stottlemyre back to the phone.
And an absolute blueprint right there by Tom Foley. He took advantage of Jesse Orosco falling toward third. Watch. Orosco did not get off the mound after that ball, and as most left-handed pitchers are wont to do, they fall toward third base, and Tom Foley takes advantage of it. A good play by Foley.
So his perfect night continues as he is 3 for 3 with 2 walks. And Andres Galarraga, who's 0 for 3 plus a walk, will stand in there. First and second with 1 out. We're tied at 6 in the top half of the ninth inning. Off-speed pitch is high, and it's ball 1. Backman now coming in to talk to Orosco.
And it's not about pitching, it's about signals.
There is some activity now in the Mets bullpen again, and Terry Leach is up for the 3rd time tonight.
The only time Wally Backman ever goes to the mound, he talks to the pitcher about a change in signals or a possible change in the signals. And with young Barry Lyons back there, he just wanted to check and see what system they were using.
To Galarraga.
Also, Candel with good speed at second base. Backman, I'm sure, alerting Orosco to that. Howard Johnson telling Wally Backman and telling Jesse Orosco that Backman will be covering with the pull hitter, the right-handed Galarraga up there.
And Backman's trying to sneak in behind Candel. Backman is cheating over towards second as the infield is pulled that way for Galarraga.
And also for the double play, too.
And they do also want to try to keep Candel as close as possible at second. One and one. Way outside, 2-1.
And there's that fastball right in that slot again, and it's 2-2. That's the slot is exactly right. He does not come in with the fastball to right-handed hitters very often. The crowd looking for a strikeout. Just outside with a breaking ball, and it's 3-2. And with one out, we'll see if Buck Rogers starts the runners on the full count. Galarraga is not a bad contact hitter, and by starting the runners, for the most part, you stay out of the double play. I think they'll be off. They are running, and the pitch is fouled off out of play. The count remains 3-2, and the runners go back. Candel to second, Foley to first. Pardon me, Steve. I'll tell you, in situations like this with the runners running and you're a catcher, the out is the most important thing. As a result, most catchers, especially young catchers, you won't find that shoot out of there, out of that slot. They'll stay back to get the pitch on a called strike. Kind of sit back on the heels, because the one thing you want the out. Because the very fact that the runners are going eliminates the double play. 3-2 and a play on at second, and Candel just back in time as Backman snuck in and took the throw from Orosco. The runner, on the other hand, or the runners, cannot be picked off in this situation. It's up for the hitter, up to the hitter, to either make contact or take it if it's a ball. Candel has shortened his lead up at second now considerably for that very reason. Runners go again on the 3-2 pitch. A strikeout, a throw to third, not in time. Lyons whipped that ball down there in a hurry, but it was high and away, and Magadan had to bring it back in an effort to tag out Candel. Well, now another element has been introduced, and that's the third baseman. Dave Magadan has to delay because Galarraga swings the bat. You don't want to be in a situation, he is a little late covering. However, a good throw would have gotten Candel. But if you're a third baseman, you don't want to vacate a hole and then have one of those little trickle down base hits that go into left field. So Magadan had to hold a little bit. Lyons was holding, and the runners were making sure they didn't get picked off. So a lot of elements in that situation. First and second, 3-2 on the hitter. And it takes all those elements falling into place perfectly for the defense to be able to get the strikeout, throw out, double play. Made doubly difficult by the fact that Galarraga was a right-handed hitter. With first base open, Tim Wallach, who's 2 for 4, including an RBI double that tied the game in the 7th inning, is being walked intentionally to load the bases. Hit and run, a lot of times you talk about hitting behind the runner and hitting through the vacated position. George Kissel, an instructor with the Cardinals, used to say the way to prevent that is to not necessarily maintain your ground, but don't vacate the position. Come in a couple of steps, thereby not vacating the position, but still getting closer to second or third base. So it would have been proper for Magadan to come in on the play as opposed to going right directly toward third base. That way you don't vacate the position, but you make the ground ball a little tougher to feel because you're closer to the hitter. It's on you much quicker, especially with a strong full hitter like Galarraga. Magadan had to hold, and he's not that experienced playing third on top of that. So the bases are loaded with 2 out, and the batter is Mike Fitzgerald, who has homered in 4 at-bats. And a breaking ball drops right in there for strike 1.
6-6 tie in the top of the 9th inning. Candell at third, Foley at second, and Wallach at first. And Buck Rogers looking on. 1 strike to count to Fitzgerald.
At third base looking into the dugout. I'll tell you, Mitch Webster stole home against the Phillies on a throw from Lance Parrish back to the pitcher. The Expos may have been working on something like that.
Candell has the speed. Foul back right above us, and it's now 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Couple that with the fact that a left-hander's out there. Jesse Orosco is not looking. You may see a fake break off of third, or with the inexperience behind the plate, it's a timing play where the runner at third comes up the line, and when the catcher, without looking down there, throws it back to the pitcher, he breaks from third. It's kind of one of those minor league plays, but it worked for the Expos once this year.
And Webster said that Lance Parrish never even looked at him, so he just took off. Candell at third, the go-ahead run. Strike 3 called. Fitzgerald just locked up totally, and Jesse Orosco pitches out of huge trouble here in the 9th inning. The Expos leave the bases loaded in the 9th. It is still tied at 6, and we'll go to the bottom half of the 9th after this for Diet Pepsi.
America speaks out for Chevrolet.
Your money's worth. I know where you can get it. Your Chevrolet dealer has it. In abundance. Sprint, the highest gas mileage in America. Spectrum, European design, built in Japan. Nova, Japanese design at a Chevy price. Cavalier, coupe, sedan, wagon, and convertible. Your Chevy dealer gives you more ways to get your money's worth than anybody else.
Here again, the strikeout. Jesse Orosco getting Mike Fitzgerald with the bases loaded.
Fitzgerald just frozen there. And Bob Rogers, who has done a fine, fine job under adverse circumstances here with this Expo club, is going to make a double switch, or a modification of the double switch.
He's bringing in an entire new battery, and Mike Fitzgerald will be replaced behind the plate by John Stefaro, who homered in last night's game for Montreal. And Bob McClure is the new pitcher, and Bob McClure will bat in Fitzgerald's spot in the batting order, which is fifth. McClure making his 5th appearance, also worked in last night's game. So the top of the order for the Mets in the bottom of the 9th. We're tied at 6. Len Dykstra 2 for 2. 2 singles and an RBI. Strike 1. Wally Backman and Keith Hernandez to follow. Time called while Stefaro gets a different mask. One and one to Len Dykstra. The totals are identical. 6 runs, 11 hits, no errors for each club. Dykstra punches it high in the air into right center field. Nichols and Winningham almost collide, and Winningham reaches above Reed Nichols to make the catch. Winningham almost having a collision earlier with left fielder Casey Candell.
It appeared that both outfielders were going to collide. You see Nichols holding the hands up, but Winningham is saying, let the taller guy have it.
Center fielders are used to taking anything they can get to, and that sometimes does cause collisions. Backman now will not hit, as once Dykstra failed to reach base, Davey Johnson called Tim Teufel out of the dugout. So Teufel, off to a great start, hitting .387. Will pinch hit for Wally Backman. Teufel, as a pinch hitter, is 0 for 4. Excuse me, 1 for 1. One out, nobody on, as Randy Myers now warms up for New York.
Buck Rogers, as the manager of the Expos, trying to get the outfielders to bunch, which means that the center fielder plays straight away and the right and left fielders move toward the center fielder. You give the hitters the lines. Balls down the lines are doubles. Balls in the gaps are the ones you want to cut off.
Strike on the outside corner, and it's 0-1 to Teufel.
Rusty alluded earlier to the fact that he has never seen such unusual defenses employed, and I agree with him. This is a strange defensive outfield alignment for the Expos, as you saw Tim Burke warming.
Well, earlier in the game, Dave Engel, the right fielder, was playing too deep, and now Reed Nichols is probably too deep in right, and he has not bunched as much as Candell in left has pinched towards center. Outside, 1-1, or 2-1.
Tim Teufel's pinch hit home run in the bottom of the ninth. 7-6 New York. Short stint with the New York Mets, Tim Teufel has already provided some dramatic moments, and he does it again here with one out in the bottom of the ninth inning. The first pitch from Bob McClure sent deep over the left field fence for a game-winning home run, and the Mets hang on and win it in the ninth, 7-6. And I know the dramatic moment to which you are referring, Steve. That was the pinch hit grand slam home run last year against the Philadelphia Phillies and Tom Hume. This looked like a changeup from Bob McClure, and if it was his third best pitch. His curveball's his best pitch, his fastball's his second best pitch, and Bob McClure appeared to have thrown the straight change, and Tim Teufel took care of it. Boy, Tim Teufel hitting the ball with much more authority this year on that off-season weight program, and he waited well on that changeup, too.
Waited long enough to throw some weight into it.
Now, wait a minute.
Well, McClure obviously dejected, the only Montreal player remaining on the field as the Mets push their record to 12-9. And with the Cardinals playing on the West Coast, at least are assured of keeping pace with the Cardinals as they started play one game in back of St. Louis in the National League Eastern Division. Jesse Orosco is the winning pitcher, and for Jesse, his first win of 1987 to go with his league-leading 6 saves. Bob McClure, of course, is the loser. It is his first decision of 87. He is 0-1. Well, the Mets, the last few days have looked like the Mets of 1986, and Tim and I are going to be right back to talk about it and wrap this one up. And, of course, waiting in the wings, Ralph Kiner with another edition of Kiner's Corner. So stay with us. The Mets have won it in the ninth, 7-6 over Montreal, and we'll return to